Yo, it's MB14 14 from France, and you're watching Beatbox Battle TV. I live in Amiens in northern France, and I've been beatboxing for 9 years now. I started in 2010 when I discovered Naturally 7. I reminisce, when I started I would have my own parties. A few sounds and vibrations would come all over my body. I do it, cause I loved it. She thinks I'm hyperactive, she might be right. Yes, I'm looking for heights and mountains. So many hours and so many days where I thought I was nothing and had to meditate. Self-confidence and fear still can make you hesitate, but it's like rolling dice or playing heads and tails. Radios and contacts, ratios and contracts. Baby, all is all made so we be growing more cash. Videos and formats, videos and broadcasts. Can I trade the value of my heart just for gold stacks? Of course I want him to, I won't spit in the plate, but it takes more than one song to further this debate. Melodies and pages, murdering them stages. How can you decipher what I've been doing for ages? My really first serious experience was with rapping. I started rapping when I was 14 years old. Then I heard this song on the radio by Naturally 7. I really was shocked because at the end of the song, the radio host was saying that it was all vocal. After maybe a couple of months after hearing this song, or a couple of years, I don't know, I just started to make noises and rhythms while listening to music. I remember it was when Michael Jackson died, and I started to make short beats on top of his music. I think I've always been making noises. I think it's part of my personality. Always been like a little clown and a bit hyperactive, I don't know. Impressing people, singing songs, making just random noises with my mouth. And yeah, then I went on YouTube and I watched a lot of videos of Naturally 7, of Eclipse, of Pulpo, Tom Thumb, Berywam, all those beatboxers I discovered. Then I was just obsessed with beatboxing because it was crazy for me that we could make music without instruments, and it's for me it's sort of it's magic. I wasn't that interested in music or playing instruments. It's when I discovered that I loved beatboxing. I really wanted to improve my musical abilities. And I started to teach myself a bit of guitar and keyboard and stuff like that, just because I was getting really more and more curious about music. And I wanted to train my ear, to understand about harmonies and chords and stuff like that, because it's really important when you want to just pursue musical passion. 2012, 2013 was when I started to learn a bit of classical singing, just like things like this, in the conservatory of my city. After a certain period of time, I just got interested into mixing everything, like rapping, singing, beatboxing, impressing instruments, all those stuff. I also did a bit of drama when I was in school. Yeah, drama, like acting for 4 years. And so I think that allowed me to gain even more confidence and to really express myself when I'm on stage. And I'm always a bit trying to be a little funny and speaking to the crowd, stuff like that. During The Voice, I had singing lessons before the live shows and stuff like that. We had a training because they wanted us to be in shape so we could give our best. This all started because I posted a video on YouTube. It was a cover of Teardrop by Massive Attack. So they saw this video, they sent me a message like, yeah, we're working with a producer for a very well-known TV show. So would you be interested in being part of it and stuff? So I called them, but at first I was really reluctant. Maybe I will lose my soul when I'm on TV, and maybe they will want to control my music. It's really complicated to keep control of your image when you're involved in such a project. At first I was afraid, and also I had another project in the US that I was supposed to be part of. But after all, my visa application was denied. And at the same time, I got a message from Wawad and Rythmind, who wanted me to be part of the group that Berywam is now. There were too many signs at the same moment, like you have to stay and you have to take this opportunity. That's how I came to be on The Voice. So I did all the auditions, and I was really lucky to be accepted for the blind auditions. I don't even know how I ended up in the finals. I really wasn't expecting such a result because I was a beatboxer in among singers. And I was looping and stuff. I didn't think I could make it to the finals because there were so many talented singers. But eventually, it seems like people really enjoyed the fact that I was doing something different. I'm really happy now. It changed my life. I think rap is one of my fundamental skill in music. It's just that for the beatbox battles, I didn't use that much of rapping because it's a beatbox battle. So I tried to explore more of the sounds and singing and like musical elements. But rapping is when you want to say something. I think I have a few subjects I want to talk about, or sometimes you just want to express your feelings. My style nowadays is just a mix of everything I love in music. I mean, you can find rapping, you can find 90 BPM hip-hop beats, you can find classical singing, big choirs. There are songs that I haven't released yet, but I love reggae and dub music. So I'm trying to inject all my influences in the songs I'm writing and composing, but I'm trying to make it in a cohesive way. For example, for this first project, there's no reggae inside of it because I wanted to have a sort of a sad taste, like melancholic, you know? Okay, when I participated to The Voice, before participating, you have to sign a contract, which is a contract that engages you with a major label, which is Universal. It's the Universal is the major, but inside you have several labels, like you have Barclay, Polydor, Def Jam, Mercury, all those record labels. And I was signed with Polydor after The Voice. And we started to record some songs I had written at the time. So we had the studio sessions and stuff. But there was a time where we didn't fit together, I would say, because they were, I think, expecting me to do some kinds of things that I didn't wanted or that I didn't feel ready to do. And in my opinion, I needed a lot of freedom, total freedom, actually. I needed to be the one who writes, who composes, who arranges the songs, who interprets the songs. I wanted to do everything by myself. It's just that I don't know how to mix and master the songs, let's say, because I don't have the skills for now. I'll try to learn this, but later. But I really wanted to be my own boss and listen to my own choices, you know? It's impossible with a record label because by definition, they are the one who produce your music. They took a good decision for me. They chose to give me my contract back and to cancel the engagement. So I was really relieved because it meant freedom for me. So now I'm releasing this EP independently. Well, I'm producing it, but I'm releasing this EP with a distribution label, which is called Bendo Music. And yeah, we get along really well. They like my music, and it's cool because I have total control of what I want to do, even regarding the music videos, because I work with a friend of mine who I've known for a long time. He has always wanted to work with me, so there was a time I said, yeah, let's work together. And he's passionate, he's super talented. His name is Ivory Concept, if you want to check it out. We were working on my music videos together, and I mixed and mastered my EP and recorded the EP with a friend of mine who's also a musician, but he has crazy craft when it comes to mixing and mastering a project. Yeah, his name is Little Big Records. And it's all in my city in Amiens. So I'm really happy now that I found the freedom I needed and the team I can do it with. And also I've had a very supportive girlfriend. She's always helped me to make good choices, to analyze what I wanted to do. Also, I've learned a lot with Berywam. We were on the journey for 3 years. Now we're not together anymore, but we ended our career together on a good mark with the world title. I think this EP was the right moment for me to release this project because I needed to learn. I needed time after The Voice. I wasn't mature enough, I think. So now it was the right moment, and I'm really happy of the songs I've created. And now let's see what happens next. Everything started with La Cup. Kim, French beatbox champion, he organized La Cup in France, where he wanted to make 4 regions battle each other, like North, South, West, and East. And for the South team, Wawad was the captain of the team. So he chose Beatness, of course, Rythmind, and the 4th member was Kist. And so they made this battle, and I remember I was counting the points during this battle. And so I was watching them on stage and I was like, yeah, they're really doing something I would like to do if I were to work with a band, because they had this crazy sense of harmonies and melodies and at the same time powerful beats. And I was really happy when they offered me to be part of the group for the French champs, because it was supposed to be a surprise. So they offered me this opportunity. I said yes, like straight away. So I went to spend 1 week with them, 5 days. Actually, 5 days with them in Toulouse, and we rehearsed like every day, and then yeah, we ended up vice champion in 2015 because we lost against Team Punk. Alexinho there. so during this year he won the championship with the Team Punk and in solo category as well. So I think they deserved it. It was a motivation for us to work even more. And we said, okay, so we lost this year, next year we'll have it. And the following year we had it, and Wawad won the championship in solo as well. So it was our turn. I think we really started to make shows at the beginning of 2016. We had a few opportunities because we were connected to big artists in France who allowed us to be their supporting act for a couple of dates. For example, Big Flo et Oli. They are big rappers in France, like among the biggest best sellers in France. LEJ as well, who is a vocal and instrumental group from France. And we opened for them in Toulouse. Also, the fact that I participated to The Voice, it opened us a few doors to make shows and get recognition throughout the country. And and then we signed a contract with a tour producer, and we started to make shows. And for maybe 1 year and a half, we had lots of shows, lots of festivals, and then the world title this year in August in Berlin. I think with Berywam, it was a really long process for me to go from being in a band with them up to being in a solo career. I've always wanted to be a solo artist in some way, even before The Voice, even before the beatbox battles. I had a rap group, because some of us were creating instrumentals and stuff. A few were beatboxing, rapping, so we had a crew. I also had a duet with a accordiονist. So he had this instrument, and I was playing beats on top of his music. I had a group experience before, but I've always wanted to be a solo artist. I've always had those projects in my mind, and I've always needed freedom, just being able to do whatever I want to do. At the beginning, it was already something that we were talking about with Berywam. Like, I love this group, but someday I'll work on my solo projects. I think it took us a long time to realize that it wasn't possible to continue. After The Voice, when I started to record the album I was supposed to do with Polydor, even at the time, it was a bit of a struggle because I was living in Toulouse and I was taking trains back and forth between Toulouse and Paris to record my tracks. So sometimes I was running out of time for Berywam, and it was complicated. Plus, when I lived in Toulouse, I didn't see my family that much, my girlfriend and stuff like that. So it's always been complicated for me to share my time between Berywam, my relatives, my personal project, my dreams, and what I wanted to do. We tried and we were really happy doing it, but sometimes it was complicated because they needed someone who was as invested as they were. Like, you know, that brings as many ideas, as much energy and stuff. And whether it was for my battles or for my solo project or my solo shows as well, because I had a few shows even when I was with Berywam, it's always been a bit exhausting to deal with all those different parts. So at a certain time, I went back living in my town in north of France. And this was the moment where we realized it was complicated and it was really starting to create tensions between us, and we couldn't continue like that because otherwise we would lose each other. And we were friends. We started as friends, so we had a big conversation also with the people we were working with. The best solution was for me to leave because I had other plans, other dreams, and they needed a really solid member. And I'm happy that we got to save our friendship because we really are like brothers. We've lived together, we won trophies together, we made shows, we traveled the world together. So I'm really happy for what the situation is right now because I'm happy doing my own projects. They're happy, like they're on French TV now. It's crazy. The one who had this idea of bringing Beasty in the group was Wawad. Actually, the group needed somebody who could do a lot of things. Because Beasty, he knows how to sing, he knows how to rap. He's one of the best beatboxers you can find, I think, in the world. He knows a lot of things about music, like musical knowledge. He has a lot of sounds, like he can scratch, he can do trumpets, he can do everything that beatbox band needs. You know what I mean? Plus, he's really old in the French beatbox community. For Wawad, it was a logical choice. Yeah, I think it was the right choice for the group. Plus, he's a really nice guy, and he was off the scene for a bit. He's happy being in Berywam right now. Regarding the training, it depends. There was two sides. There was for the battles and for the shows. To be the new member of the group, of course, he had to watch all the videos that we did, to watch some extracts of the shows we were doing live. So he had to really analyze all the material we have on YouTube to really understand, to memorize all the different parts and all the different melodies I was doing. And if sometimes he wasn't the best to do a certain part, the others would take it. Like, for example, Wawad or Rythmind, it depended. They switched parts if needed. They make sure that everybody got the best part. For the World Championship, we really appreciated working together. We really had fun, yeah, for 5 of us. Actually, when we participated and when we started training, I wasn't part of the group anymore because we split in April. So he already was used to working with the group. They knew about all his abilities and they knew how to work together. I really saw in their eyes that they would respect him and really admire him and listen to what he had to say because he's really interesting and he has crazy ideas, and I think he deserves what's happening now for him. First time I saw a looper was on YouTube, and it was a member of Naturally 7, which is one of my favorite beatbox bands. Even I think for me, they don't get enough recognition in the beatbox world. A member of the group was using a loop station to open the show, and I was really interested in this concept because it's like you don't need anybody to do your music, to make your music. And you can do it live instantly. Just let your ideas flow and just be creative. It's really stimulating. I watched a lot of looping videos on YouTube with the RC30, the RC300, the RC50, and then the RC505 when it came out. So I remember in 2013, I bought my first loop station, which was an RC30. So I only had 2 tracks. So in general, the first track was the verse and then the chorus on the second one. That's with this looper that I started my Gangsta's Paradise routine. I remember at the time I only had, like, as I said, 2 tracks. So my second track was then I made a couple shows with it. I remember I used it as well with a friend of mine because we had a group together. He was playing guitar. I would make beats and voices and rap on top of our loops. And yes, someday I started to do it solo. I watched a lot of looping battles on YouTube, like the GBB in 2013 with Fibras and Grisson and Slither and Scott Jackson, classic. And then, of course, everybody knows Dub Effects, Berywam, the Beatbox. There are so many examples of looping because it's old. So yeah, I watched a lot of videos. I'm addicted to YouTube. I don't feel good when I can't go on YouTube. When I don't have internet, for example, in a plane, I don't feel good. And then I tried to participate to the GBB in 2014 because it was, at the time, the best opportunity for a looper to get like exposure and recognition and just to meet other loopers and to show what you're doing. I wasn't selected for the 2014, but I won the wild card for the GBB 2015 because at the time I hadn't met many beatboxers. I remember in 2013 I met Saro. He was performing a show in my city. I met Maestro as well. I saw Dave Crow as well. He did a show in my city in 2014. But yeah, before the GBB, it was an unknown world for me. I think, yeah, the update on the RC505 was a really good thing. It allowed a lot of new possibilities to the loopers. It was also quicker to use. For example, I remember when you wanted to delete a track on the RC505 at the beginning, you have to press it for a couple of seconds. But now you have to press it twice and it's okay. You save a lot of time. You can also, for people that use a lot of effects, you can combine those effects together. But on the first version of the machine, you could only use one effect at the time. Personally, I don't use those effects. I mean, except for maybe sometimes reverb or a beat scatter or maybe a panning delay. But that's it. I'm not interested in using that much effect, so I prefer to keep it. To explore really the sounds of the voice rather than using effects. It's a different style. If there are too many things to care about, I'm lost. My brain doesn't work that way, you know? If I have 3 effects here, 3 effects there, and it's too much for me. Yo, it's MB14 from France, and you're watching Beatbox Battle TV. Big shout out to my man Bilo and my man Alexinho.
Yeah. Alexinho, world champion. Je vais rapper, c'est bon.